Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are trudging through what has been a frustrating 2025 season, one that has seen expectations crumble under the weight of injuries, inconsistent play, and a lack of reliable offensive weapons. Despite the setbacks, the team remains an intriguing prospect on the horizon, particularly as the offseason approaches and roster building becomes the central focus. Fans and analysts alike have speculated about the moves Washington might make, and one name has started to swirl in trade and free agency chatter: wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. According to CBS Sports' Zachary Paralise, the Commanders represent a logical landing spot for the star pass catcher if he becomes available. And when you look at the dynamics, the connection makes a lot of sense. Washington's offense has struggled to replicate the momentum of last year's NFC Championship game run, and the combination of Terry McLaurin dealing with a lingering quad issue and Deebo Samuel playing on the final year of his contract has exposed the thinness of the receiving corps. With these limitations, the team has been forced to rely on inconsistent depth, leaving quarterback Jayden Daniels without consistent weapons, and the offense lacking the explosiveness it needs to challenge top defenses. It's a situation that screams for a game-changing addition, and Aiyuk fits the profile perfectly. The first and most obvious connection that makes this potential move appealing is the history between Aiyuk and Daniels. Their relationship dates back to their days at Arizona State, where Aiyuk emerged as Daniels' go-to-target and developed into a first-round NFL prospect. That chemistry, forged in college and carried into the professional ranks, resurfaced last summer during Aiyuk's contract dispute, highlighting the natural comfort and trust between the two. Reuniting them in Washington would not just be a roster move, it would be a strategic effort to bring back a proven quarterback-receiver dynamic that could instantly elevate the team's passing game. Beyond that, the familiarity doesn't end there. Washington general manager Adam Peters, who previously spent significant time in the San Francisco 49ers organization, knows Aiyuk's game intimately. Peters witnessed firsthand Aiyuk's development into one of the league's most polished wide receivers, and that personal and professional overlap gives Washington an edge that few other potential suitors would have. It's a rare alignment of relationships, knowledge, and opportunity that could set the stage for a major offseason shakeup. The timing couldn't be more crucial. The Commanders' 2025 season has been defined by injuries and inconsistency, making the need for an offensive spark urgent. If the team wants to return to the form they showed in 2024, mere depth won't suffice. They need a bona fide star to complement McLaurin and elevate the entire passing game. Aiyuk, reportedly seeking a contract in the ballpark of $120 million, is exactly the kind of player who could provide that dynamic presence. Known for his route-running precision, elite separation, and ability to create explosive plays, Aiyuk offers a combination of skill and familiarity with Daniels that is hard to replicate elsewhere. Adding him would not just fill a void, it would transform the offense, giving Daniels a legitimate one target, and allowing the team to diversify its play calling in ways that have been sorely missing this season. Washington's offensive identity, which has struggled to maintain consistency, could see an immediate upgrade, creating a two-headed receiving threat that defenses would have to account for on every snap. Financially, Washington is also positioned to make a bold move. The team is projected to have substantial salary cap room in the offseason, providing the flexibility to pursue a marquee player without sacrificing the ability to fill other key positions. This cap space, combined with the strategic advantage of Peters' knowledge of Aiyuk and the existing chemistry with Daniels, makes the Commanders an exceptionally logical suitor for a team that has seen its offensive production dip and its fan base frustrated by injuries and inconsistent. Why? The addition of a star receiver like Aiyuk could be the spark needed to pivot back into NFC contention. The move would not just be about adding talent, it would send a signal that Washington is serious about competing at the highest level and willing to invest in the pieces necessary to do so. With McLaurin under contract, Daniels developing as a young franchise quarterback, and Peters seeking to imprint his vision on the roster, the alignment of circumstances could hardly be more favorable for a blockbuster addition. The implications of such a move extend beyond just the statistics or the playbook. Reuniting Daniels with a familiar weapon like Aiyuk could accelerate Daniels' growth as a quarterback, providing him with the confidence and security of a trusted target. Chemistry in football cannot be overstated, and the ability for a quarterback and receiver to anticipate each other's movements can elevate an entire offense. Washington could leverage that connection, transforming its passing game into one that commands attention across the league. Furthermore, it could help stabilize an offensive system that has struggled with turnovers, missed opportunities, and a lack of explosiveness. Aiyuk's presence would not just be about yardage or touchdowns. It would be about creating an identity, one that signals to fans, opponents, and the rest of the league that the Commanders are building for sustained success. Not just a short-term patch, of course. The logistics of such a move depend on the 49ers' plans and Aiyuk's status heading into free agency or trade negotiations. But if San Francisco and Aiyuk part ways, don't be surprised to see Washington at the front of the line. The combination of cap flexibility, positional need, organizational familiarity, and personal connections makes this a compelling scenario. The Commanders have struggled this season, but strategic moves like this could define the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. Aiyuk would not just be another player on the roster, he would represent a strategic pivot, a statement of intent, and a bridge to restoring the team's competitive identity. For fans, the prospect of seeing Daniels and Aiyuk reconnect on Sundays is tantalizing, promising the kind of highlight reel plays and dynamic partnerships that make NFL football thrilling to watch. As the offseason approaches, all eyes will be on Washington, and this potential acquisition could very well be the headline that defines the team's path forward, offering hope that the 2026 season will bring the kind of resurgence that has long been anticipated, but so far elusive in 2025. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL world is buzzing with whispers that no one saw coming, and if you've been paying attention to the Washington Commanders' inner workings, you might want to sit down before reading this. Sources close to the team are hinting at a major fallout between head coach Dan Quinn and one of the franchise's key players. A rift so sharp that insiders are claiming, and I mean claiming, that Quinn allegedly told this player, "He won't be playing for me anymore." That's right, those are not your typical media exaggerations or hearsay floating around the locker room. Multiple whispers and some unnamed but credible league sources point to a coach-player confrontation that's allegedly blown up into something bigger than anyone expected. The Commanders have been navigating a tricky season, to put it mildly, and while internal disagreements aren't exactly shocking in professional football, the intensity of this particular conflict is reportedly off the charts. Fans and analysts alike are now dissecting what might have triggered such a dramatic split. Some insiders suggest it started with a disagreement on practice intensity and the players' commitment during crucial drills. Others, more focused on the personal dynamics within the locker room, believe the root cause is deeper, tied to perceived attitude issues or disagreements over the team's strategic direction. Dan Quinn, known for his disciplined, no-nonsense approach, apparently reached a breaking point with this individual after what sources describe as a series of frustrating interactions during meetings and practice sessions. It's rare for Quinn to publicly lose his cool. He has a reputation for being composed and methodical. But according to insiders, this confrontation reached a point where he allegedly made it clear that there's no place for this player on his roster under his leadership. The player involved, whose identity remains deliberately vague at this stage, is reportedly one of the team's more prominent figures, which has only fueled speculation. Is it a high-profile offensive star, a defensive cornerstone, or someone known more for personality than production? Social media is aflame with guesses, ranging from legitimate candidates based on recent game performance to complete wild cards pulled from obscure rumors. What's undeniable, however, is that the locker room tension reportedly escalated over time, with teammates becoming increasingly aware of the friction. According to insiders, some players have tried to mediate, others are allegedly taking sides, and the atmosphere around the practice facility has shifted noticeably, with whispers of strained relationships and heated exchanges between staff and players. In the NFL, where locker room cohesion is often as critical as talent on the field, such discord can't be ignored, and sources suggest that management is closely monitoring the situation behind the scenes. League insiders hint that this isn't the kind of argument that can be smoothed over with a simple apology or a pep talk. Dan Quinn's track record shows that while he's capable of nurturing young talent, he also expects complete buy-in from his roster, and he reportedly has little patience for perceived dissent. or lack of effort. The clash, as described by sources, seems to revolve around principles and expectations rather than a single mistake on the field. That distinction is crucial because it suggests that this could be a long-term fracture, rather than a temporary bump in the road. Some close to the team speculate that Quinn's ultimatum might extend beyond the season, hinting that he could be prepared to make a roster move or even push for a trade if the situation doesn't improve. Though nothing official has been communicated to the public yet, what adds fuel to the fire is the timing of this fallout. The Commanders are navigating a season where consistency and morale are critical, and any internal unrest can ripple out, affecting team performance and even public perception. Sources suggest that the tension was already simmering beneath the surface. But a recent incident rumored to involve a missed assignment during practice and a sharply worded exchange reportedly triggered Quinn's explosive reaction. While the specifics are murky, those in the know indicate that the confrontation was highly public, at least within team circles, and left both the player and the coach visibly frustrated. This is not your typical locker room disagreement that gets patched up by Friday. According to insiders, the energy, they say, is palpable, and it seems like the entire organization is bracing for fallout. Social media, as expected, has been ablaze with commentary, speculation, and hot takes. Fans of the Commanders are debating everything from potential replacements to whether the situation will force a shift in strategy or even influence the front office's future decisions. Pundits are analyzing past games for clues, highlighting moments that could indicate tension between Quinn and this player. While some armchair analysts suggest this might be the beginning of a more significant cultural shakeup in the locker room, what's clear is that, even without official statements, the story has captured attention far beyond Washington, sparking debates across platforms and fueling endless speculation about what this means for the team's immediate and long-term plans. In the league where relationships and reputations matter as much as wins and losses, an incident like this can have repercussions that echo well beyond the locker room. Adding another layer to the story, some insiders hint that Quinn's frustration may also tie into broader concerns about team discipline and leadership. While the player in question is reportedly talented, Quinn's management style appears to demand alignment not just on the field but in attitude and approach as well. Sources close to the team have noted that Quinn has little tolerance for actions that he perceives as undermining his authority or the team's collective focus, and this rumored confrontation seems to be the ultimate expression of that philosophy. While many fans and commentators debate whether such strictness is beneficial or detrimental, those inside the organization apparently see it as a necessary component of Quinn's leadership style, though in this case, it may have pushed things to a breaking point. Rumors also suggest that other players may now be recalibrating their approach to the coach. Some are reportedly worried about how this conflict could signal a precedent. If Quinn is willing to take such a firm stance against one high-profile player, could others be next? If disagreements arise, according to sources, conversations in the locker room have become more cautious, and some athletes are allegedly walking on eggshells, not wanting to draw Quinn's ire. Meanwhile, management is said to be weighing their options carefully, aware that any misstep could impact team chemistry, public perception, and ultimately, performance on the field. It's a delicate balancing act, and the tension surrounding this rumored fallout has created a narrative that's dominating discussions among insiders, reporters, and fans alike. At this point, everything hinges on what unfolds next. Will the player and Quinn find a way to reconcile, or is this the start of a definitive split? Will the Commanders take steps to publicly address the situation, or is it destined to remain behind the scenes, fed only by leaks, whispers, and speculation? The league, as always, is watching closely, because incidents like this can serve as a bellwether for team culture, leadership dynamics, and the fragile balance between individual talent and collective cohesion. While nobody outside the inner circle can say for certain what will happen, one thing is undeniable: the fallout from this alleged confrontation is shaping up to be one of the most talked about stories in the NFL, a saga that could have implications for the Commanders' season, their locker room culture, and the reputations of both the coach and the player involved. The rumor mill is spinning, insiders are talking, and fans are watching every development with bated breath. Because if this story is anything close to accurate, it could redefine the narrative around Washington's team and Dan Quinn's leadership in ways nobody expected. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.